very warm welcome to my community. I'm Sherwood McCaskey. As always, I'm pleased that you have joined us. Now, it was one of the more powerful tropical cyclones of the 1955 Atlantic hurricane season. It struck Barbados in September of that year. And that is where Mr. Brown begins this week's presentation of My Community. And he will later proceed to stories of his life as a student at Urdeston College.
Well, I can remember very well that I was a teacher then, and I was at Urdeston, and I enjoyed it. When I was there, they had about 62 people at Urdeston. And I am only living man out of that 62 people. Half of them up to now. All the others died. We have living about 4 people out of that group living today. All the others chose to go along before me. Sure, there was a man called Bentley. And there used to be a Bishop Bentley in Barbados, and that was his son. Roberts was the principal at that day. And a lot of tutors about there, with some bad and some not so bad. I used to belong to a camera club, and there's nothing I enjoyed more than stand up and see the trees in Belvin blowing all over there. Remember, when Janet came, I was in Urdeston as a resident in Urdeston, yes. And the ladies' dorm were blown off, and the men one didn't get blown off yet. So after it cooled down a little bit, we were asked to go and bring the girls thing down and put in the main room, because a little more the storm was yet to come, and we enjoyed that, you know. We go, me and the boys would go and pick up the girls, things, and bring them down, and we would make a fuss of putting them all together, so they didn't know who belonged to who, and we carried them down there. But we enjoyed that. And then after that, I got on my motorcycle. I used to ride my motorcycle then and drive all over the place and look and see what was around.
And what did you see?
Huh?
What did you see?
The houses blowing down, trees blowing off, people uncomfortable, that kind of thing.
From experiences of Hurricane Janet to those of riding his bike, and a very interesting story of the bike's final resting place.
It was an aerial motorcycle. That motorcycle my father used to drive one, those sugar trucks. You know, they had some sugar trucks, anything that is shaped like that. And one day I was driving, going to town by my large side where Belmont School is. I was riding my motorcycle, and I'd say one of these sugar trucks came here, and the rain was slipping, and I see the truck come across in front of me to kill me. Like, and I pull out the side and get off to tell the man what's going to come, and then I discovered the body of my father that driving. That is a statement of fact. And you want to hear something?
Yes.
I drove home that motorcycle. I took that motorcycle, well, I kept it there for now. I put it, when I was building the house, I take it and push it down in the ground sill. I decided you're going to kill me again. That happened. That's a statement of fact. And that was the enemy of motorcycle. I haven't got on one since.
The holding of dances was an important aspect of social life in Barbadian communities. Many an interesting story has been told of the experiences of dances from Riverbanks Casino in St. Lucie to the dance houses here in St. Philip. From all indications, Mr. Brown enjoyed the spectacle of dances here in his community.
Well, I know I used to go to the dance houses and watch people dance, because I couldn't dance. I would match them back. But I used to go to dances. I used to go every Monday night. We had one in City Hall. King George Park was the main dance, and had one there in Church Village. There were dance houses. People used to go to dances and so on. Those who could dance and those who could not dance. Well, those like me who couldn't dance were going to watch. I watched them. And you get a lot of fun out of them. So then the fellas carry a girl and then got efficient money to pay for the girl and them. So to pay for the girl, then thief and could show in there. That happened. Yeah. You don't got sufficient money for each of them, so you're going to pay for the girl and go back and try to see if you could sneak through in there. So they catch you doing personal life, just by and lay alone. Every place had a dance hall, and dances used to be nearly every Monday.
Monday?
Yeah, Monday night used to be a dance night. All the time. You gotta go and buy something too, and something you gotta keep it $5 to. You gotta buy a pork chop. In them days you had to pork chop, a bar. And you have to carry the lady, you got to be able to buy a pork chop. People would carry a bag and buy a pork chop and put it inside the pork chop. So you can't only carry any girl, but you got to get a pork chop. You know about that? Yeah, you never buy a pork chop yet, though.
Of course I know a pork chop dance.
But you ever buy one had a dance? But I never give you any.
I never get any.
No. But that's how dances used to be. You get a beer and a pork chop.
A beer and a pork chop. From dances to somber occasions, funeral processions in the community. And although somber, you might not be able to contain your laughter during this segment of Mr. Brown's presentation.
First of all, we used to have, very prevalent was hearses drawn by horses. My mother and they had horses that would draw, come and carry the thing. And those days, most people walked. Most of the people walked up to St. Catherine's. It had two nice processions. People, all of them would be in black or white, not a fancy color, and dressed properly. And we would go on top by St. Mark's School and count the number of cars that they had, because the cars were in the back. They were very interesting. They had other kind of horse though. It's very, very interesting. They had a man named Bottleneck. You ever hear about him? Bottleneck. Bottleneck apparently went to, and this is a fact, Bottleneck went to the hospital to pick up a corpse. And pick up the corpse and come along up to go to St. Catherine's with this corpse. And he had a horse cart. And somebody then from down north came and catch him by Buckley and tell me he had the wrong dead. He picked up the wrong dead. And Bottleneck is renowned to tell it, no, you can't have a man dead is a dead. And that's the story used to call Bottleneck wrong dead. That happened, Bottleneck. Yeah. But they were very, very interesting. They used to got no food after it, unfortunately. But cars, things used to look good. And that time graves used to be deep, 6 feet. They didn't used to be up top of the ground. And I know a woman who went in the morgue or something, dead. And then she was in the coffin, in the box, and then she kicked and take she out. She's still living. That is a fact. This is a story. It's said during the cholera time. You didn't have to make sure that you're dead. You put you in the corpse and carry along. But in life, I know that this people dead, said they're dead and then dead.
Stories of Barbadian communities as told by her people. Here, now on to more serious and celebrated news. The formation of the St. Mark Cooperative Credit Union and the two agricultural cooperatives. In fact, these are two research theses waiting to be developed by our students.
I was responsible for the formation of St. Mark's Credit Union. After getting this lecture come by a man called Albert Parrish, I formed this credit union, and it was doing so well that I thought it was a model credit union, and they asked me to come in the department, but I took the opportunity to push up that a little bit, and St. Mark's Credit Union was born that way. That is how it was born, and it's still living.
So what was the reception of the people? How did the people receive this thing?
Very, very, very skeptical about it. People at that time feel that all black people could do is steal, you know? And we got the younger fellas would join up and so on, but the old people, when I want me money to carry in it, that's the attitude of them.
So who were those people you were able to convince who initially worked with you and got it off the ground?
I did that, the all them there, the fellow called Rudder, Ralph Butcher, Lloyd Wood, all those people, unfortunately, all of them gone on the road. Most of the people I can tell you died, you know. Those kind of people help us.
So the credit union movement is still
Very much alive. And it got big. It's very big. We had, in addition to our credit union, we had agricultural cooperatives up here. We used to, we bought a truck. Yes, even when we were credit union, we got we bought something when we were credit union, we bought a truck and we used to draw the cane. We had two up here. Blaze Hill Cooperative and Marley Vale Cooperative. So we used to draw the canes for all the canes from about here for people. I was very instrumental in getting that done.
Nationally, she is known as the lone female who represented Barbados in the federal parliament. But here in this area of St. Philip, and certainly in the estimation of Mr. Brown, she is regarded as
probably one of the greatest women that ever lived in St. Philip, to tell you the truth, as far as I'm concerned. First of all, she was very supportive. St. Philip almost had belonged to her, especially Blaze Hill, Thickets, Bayfield, almost said belonged to her. And I say that because she never functioned, though she would belong to the old plantocracy, she never functioned as somebody with a slave mind. She felt that she had to give back to St. Philip and trousers and that kind of place. And what she did, she employed people. She always was overstaffed. She was overstaffed because she wanted to employ people, put them in work and so on. They owned Fortescue, Tickets, trousers, including the trousers factory. And they had all kind of, she said that everybody, as many people as possible was employed. Still had a little bit of white people up top, horses running about where dropping them in water to make sure don't thief any. But apart from that, she see that as many people as she could find employment for, she found employment for. Sometimes she didn't need them. But so as to keep them, she don't own no reputation to Barbados. She was that kind of woman. What else I know about her is, well, I know everything about her. She was very supportive of our schools and our Old Scholars Association, where I was a member for a good part of the rest of my life, and I always kept in touch with her. Every Saturday morning, Florence Days had a little baby creche where people would carry the little babies and she would weigh them and give them some collar oil and that type of thing. People do that. And she had one of those creche at Society St. John where I was the teacher. She paid a nurse on afternoons to help to do some of the same very kind of thing. Now, Florence Days, as I said, they owned the Tickets, Fortescue and so on. They had the plantation, but they say that, look to it to see that every little body who works on the plantation had a little piece of, she gave them a little piece of land to put the house on and to work for themselves, you know. She started that. And the funny thing about it is that when those people had canes to cut and so on, they helped one another, and Florence Days was give them a truck to carry to the factory for free. Even if you weren't around there, you could go and ask Miss Florence Days to give you the truck to carry canes in the factory, and she would do that. She would every boat that was at Skeets Bay, every one. They used to build boats down there, and every one of them, when they're going to build a boat, you go to Thickets and ask Miss Days for a part of the tree to make the beam or whatever. and she provided for everyone, free. Tickets Plantation was full of mahogany trees, and the park was also full of mahogany, the present park. And she would instruct you to go and cut a tree, a mahogany tree, and get out the thing. Everyone, when you're going to build a boat, you begin there. And she would send you to cut down the tree and get the boat. And she, well, at that time, when you catch fish, you go to the sea first with the fish. The good quality fish was always ours. Snapper, I never hear about snapper. You could only get a head of snapper. When them fellas get a snapper, you got to go to tickets with it. And if you got any family working there, you would get some of the head. That's how you managed to get snapper on the whole. Otherwise, you know, snapper for the white people. We would get flying fish and so on, which was sometimes 10 for the bit. 10, we would get, I bought flying fish as much as 40 fish for 10 cents. 40 flying fish for 10 cents. The boats, as I tell you, that time were not engine boats, they were sail boats. But she was responsible almost for the birth of nearly every one of those boats. Now, when you were working in the plantation, you want to build a house. First of all, everybody would start with a little house. You would get, Miss Smith would lend the truck to bring the lumber from Plantation Limited. You could borrow the money in the hard time until the crop start. And they would bring the money from Plantation Limited and bring the lumber to your house. She would look after the money at Plantation Limited, and you will pay by the week in the crop time to get that house. When you want to belong to sheriff, everybody has a little small house. At tickets, she provided a spot for nearly everybody who work in there. True, if you stop to work there and want to go at farmers, you got to move your house. That happened. But that wasn't too, trying to keep your job. And that's how she functioned. She helped everybody that built a house. Well, everybody built a house. You start with a little house first, and then you get the fellas, when you want the lumber come up from town, you go in and ask the driver the tickets or forestry or trousers to bring up the lumber fire. And the Smith saw that you get that house built and you pay for it every during the crop. You don't pay in the hard time. In the crop time, you pay back the Smith for it. Not you pay back, you don't pay back them. They take up your money when you work. And when you get that house done, you get a pull on what you call a sheriff. All did that, the Smiths used to do that for free. Free, yeah, all those things you do for free. There's no reparation that old Miss Smith was about there. She was that kind of person. She feel that she had to pay back to St. Philip people for what their great-grandfathers or so on had done for them in the years. So in a sense, she owned Bayfield. All the houses and tickets, you see tickets and trousers and Fosker belong to, they helped to get them. That was the Smith that I know of. She was Smith. Yes. She used to call you Brown Sugar.
Yeah.
Brown Sugar. She was Miss Dish. She married like that. She was a member of the Legislative Council. I think you know that.
Yes.
You know that. And you know she was a representative in
Federal Parliament.
That she won by election because though she was white, people loved her. You know? She always had a beautiful, fast car, and they would catch her driving fast, and the policeman would slow she down, and then say, "That's what you stopped me for? Go to show this factory. Go and tickets." And the policeman would go up there and get sorted out, you know? And that's how she was. A very loving woman. And the cars, after the time she sold those cars cheap to our workers. Everybody worked there. That's what she was like. I'm truthful. I knew her personally. When we want anything for the Old Scholars Association, we would ask her, and she would supply it. And we would have a party Every year we would keep a Christmas party, and she would send the turkey, give us the turkeys and the maids. She would send the maids to prepare the turkey and serve the thing. She really loved the people in St. Philip. Florence Smith, they got a section in the Arms House there, Daniel Evelina Smith, named after her mother. That's named after her mother in the Evelina Smith section in the even the South Sea think she didn't own it half the time, apparently. Because she looked after it and the people. That was Florence did.
And after a life of service here in the community of St. Philip, she passed away in 1979. What about Winter Crawford? Nationally, he is known for his dedication and commitment to freeing this country from the shackles of colonialism. He is regarded as a visionary and one of the key figures that helped to shape this country's development at a pivotal point in its history. How does Mr. Brown regard him?
Well, he supposedly really was responsible for most of the Industrial Revolution that they had about here, the little factories met here and there and so on. That was Crawford's dream. You know, that was Crawford's dream, little industry thing here and there and everything. That was Crawford's dream. And that was what his campaign was all about. And he was respected for it, you know. And he was a very good speaker, a very good speaker. He was a member of the House, and those days there were double member constituencies, you know. When he belonged to, want to get in the vestry, you had to own land. And Ranald Weeks was in the House with him or somewhere, and he wanted to get Ranald Weeks in the vestry. And Ranald Weeks had no land. And they had a place named Penny Hall out in St. Philip. Rab land. Only sea rocks. And he went and bought it for a few cents from somebody. Turned out to be Ranald Weeks into a millionaire, because after the time that become prime land. That's why they called Gemsett. But that's how Gemsett and Ranald Weeks changed it to a foolish name, Gemsett, but people still call it Penny Hall. And that's how he got in the vestry. I remember one night he came in meeting, and he told the people in the port waiting for some people. The people aboard in the port waiting for people to carry them to American immigration. He was also a lot to do with immigration. They had no boat down there, but he told them that. And that brought him some votes and some popularity. He was a very clever politician. You like to laugh at him. He had a man named Alder. You know Alder? Yeah. Alder ran for St. John. He actually won one time. And I remember him, Crawford. And this was true. Crawford was to vote for Adams. Adams need help. So Alder gone from the meeting and said, once upon a time now, Crawford used to write in the newspaper, vote for Alder. Crawford need help. And Crawford responds, don't mind Alder. At that time, Alder can read. You know, that made an impact. Alder could read very well, but that's how he said, don't mind, he got that and he can read. But he was a very interesting and efficient thing. He and all of them were good friends, but they fell out after a time.
Yeah, and he said a lot of the policies, both sides, both the BLP and the DLP instituted, were really some of his ideas.
Most of them. And immigration, he was very concerned about immigration. He was a lot to do with immigration. And Grantley Adams, the two of them used to agree, had great respect for him. One time something to do with the United Nations, I don't remember the details, so I might just start it. And Adams chose him to go to the United Nations to speak on some issue, research it yourself. And it annoyed the members of his party because they were opposite party. But Adams felt he was the only body that was qualified to do this research and see what it's all about. Yeah. But he was a brilliant man, very brilliant.
Mr. Brown, you had mentioned that you, as a boy, you sold newspapers, some of his observed newspapers and stuff. I think you did mention that earlier.
Yeah, I sold only Crawford newspapers because Crawford was our house friend. He was sending newspaper in my area for distribution. And I would collect the money. Sometimes it get to him and sometimes it didn't. But that was the truth. Because he was our family friend, when he printed the newspaper, he had some people up there, and we would distribute the newspaper from my house. And I would collect the money sometimes. Sometimes the people paid and sometimes they didn't. And Crawford didn't fuss about the money either. He was more interested in distribution. I was more interested in money, but he was more interested in distribution. And that happened from my house.
Okay. How would you describe the type of newspaper it was at that time? What are some of the things that he tended to focus on?
The same kind of industries and immigration and that type of thing. He took the politics and black people politics, you know. I don't know what people. That time they had the motley. He would, what they call them, conservatives. Me and Motley's grandfather was running the show as a conservative, black, but he was with Fred Goddard and was the conservative. Till they get rid of all of them.
Memory is often owned. It is passed down through generations. At times it coalesces in objects, sites, and in monuments. Memory makes us who we are. Thank you very much, Mr. Brown. Now, this has been My Community. I'm Sherwood McCaskey. As always, take good care of yourself and look out for the interests of your neighbors.